crowd. Wow. Who was in charge of bringing the tomatoes? They're not here? Good, all right. I feel much better now. Well, I want to start this off by saying welcome to all of you that came back, and also to all of those that are new. How many here first time? Wow, welcome guys. We really appreciate you here, and you know, if there's anything that anybody can do to make your stay better, and that includes the other residents too, you just let us know. Because we have the best residents in the entire Rio Grande Valley, maybe the U.S. Today I've got a lot to go through, and so here's what I would like to ask. I absolutely want to answer every single question that you've got, but not everybody may want to stay around for those questions. So if you would be so kind as to let me go through the pitch, and then we'll have a Q&A session so that, you know, if people have other things to do, they can get out of here. I do have guest speakers today, and you'll see some people from around the room, the first responders. I have the advisory council. I have some special guests that I'm going to announce up front. Here in the back, we've got the SQS, the quilters, that are back there, and they're selling raffle tickets for that beautiful quilt that's hanging back there. Please stop back and take a look. I bought some, so if I win it, you know, you won't get it. So I'm not giving it away. That's a beautiful, beautiful quilt. So without further ado, let's get going. All right, so on our agenda today, we're going to do a hotel and restaurant update. A short review of what have we done in 2017. Some project updates. I'm going to give you an update on the El Centenario Bar, a recycling update, advisory council, first responders, helping hands, a policy update, Wi-Fi changes, activities updates, and an emergency notification. So I have a lot of stuff to cover, all right? Right off the bat, I want to give you a hotel and restaurant update. How many know that Victor is no longer here? All right, so you already had heard. Victor was promoted to a luxury property out in California, and you know, he's going up the chain, so different type of property than this, and I think he'll do real well there, and we wish him well. But for us, we've got a brand new team, and they are awesome. I've had a lot of opportunity to talk with them. We've already started working together, and I think you're going to see a whole bunch of changes. So with that, I'd like to ask them to come on up here. So Juan is the new general manager for the restaurant and hotel. He replaced Victor. And Art, what's your title?
Director of Sales and Marketing.
So he's Director of Sales and Marketing, regardless of what I said on the board. Okay? So just ignore that. I made that up because I thought it was a cool title. And then Marcus.
I was that at one time.
He was that at one time.
It's
Okay.
not inaccurate.
And you all know Marcus, the chef that started last year? Yeah. He's doing an incredible job. So with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to them to kind of introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they're planning.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Juan Abbott. I'm just getting on board here. I just came in yesterday. I'm sorry. Here it is. Okay. Just came in yesterday, and been talking with Terry. Been talking with Art. Lori, trying to get things for you, and I know everybody has different needs, everybody has different wants, and we're going to be working with that. In the following days, we're going to give out a survey so we can know what you want and what you need, and for that you can be eating with us here in the restaurant, working together, working with our specialists in the hotel, the suites, and hopefully we can be a nice start and have a nice winter here in South Texas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan. My part of this is to do a little sales plug. So the Christmas holidays are upon us, and if some of you know or if some of you don't know, we have about 25 Christmas buffet tickets left, and if you're interested, please stop by at our front desk lobby, and we could sell you some. It's a great spread. Marcus is working really hard to bring a good product this year. The other part of it is if any of you are going to have some friends, some family members coming in for the holidays to visit, some children, some in-laws, please let us know. We would hate to have them stay somewhere else where we can accommodate them here, and we do have some special pricing for all park residents. Thank you.
So guys, I want to thank them, and I just want you to stop and think. In the 4 years that I've been here, you've never seen anybody from the restaurant or hotel come up here and speak. And I actually had a chance to talk to Juan before he was officially hired. And I explained to him that one of the things that was critical, if you want people to understand you and believe that you're trying to do things for them, you got to talk to them. They have to know you. And I think that's what you're going to see out of this new team. I'm incredibly impressed, and I hope that you feel the same way. So be sure to stop by and talk to them. Juan's got an incredible story about just his upbringing, and you'll notice that he has a Spanish accent, but his parents are from New York and New Jersey, is that right? Yeah. So, it's a really interesting story. Great guy, got a lot of experience. Art has been with us just a little bit longer. He's really getting his arms around things. He's got great ideas. We meet every week and we talk about things that we can do. And I hope you picked up that one of the first things they're going to do is a survey to find out what you want. What do you want in the restaurant? What do you want for hours? What are you willing to support? Obviously, it's a business and it has to make money, but at the same time, it has to provide what you want. I explained to them that there was a time in the past that restaurant was completely self-sufficient based on your input. They didn't need people from the outside. And I think with the right management team there, we can get back to that. So we're looking for good things out of the restaurant this year. Okay, so when I first came on the job here, one of the things that I promised you was that I was not going to use the corporate red tape as an excuse for anything. And I hope that I have maintained that. At the same time, I told you that I see one of my major roles as being able to navigate that to make sure we get our share of funding here and we get the projects that we need. So I wanted to go over just quickly, and I don't expect you to remember this, I'm not going to go through all of it, but the things that we've done this year so that you have an idea what ELS is doing to support your activities here. As you see these things coming up, you can see the amounts. Well, I can tell you that these are special projects. So these are things that I had to go fight for in order to get the funding. They are significantly more than any other ELS park in the valley and almost any other in the organization in general. And that's what my job is here, is to make sure that we get our share. There's about $500,000, $400 and some thousand right there just on special projects that nobody else got. On top of that, we have budget items. We have things that I do budget for. So I budgeted for this year, I budgeted for next year. There's some significant expenses that are put on there. You know, if you sit back and you think, you know, I pay a lot of rent here, and you do, but don't think for a minute that we're becoming, you know, some billionaire company here, because it's not true. If you know how our company is arranged or organized, we're REITs, a real estate investment trust. And to simplify that as much as I can, it says that we can only make, well, the top 90% of our revenue has to come from rental of the property that we own. It's not about buy it, fix it, and sell it. That's not how a REIT works. We get a special tax dispensation because our revenue comes from the rental of our properties. And so how does that work? We get the first 10% of profit after expense, and every penny beyond that is distributed to our shareholders. Okay, and that's why it's always so critical that we're on top of our expenses, on top of our spend, and that we make sure that we're not in litigation danger and things like that, because that kills the value for the shareholders. It's a very unique situation. It's not like, you know, the park down the street where the guy owns it and he can change whatever he does from month to month or year to year. We have a board of directors and shareholders that we're responsible to. We also have just general expense items. And, you know, these are the things that you see that are just going on around you. And again, when you put all this together, on an average, we're investing about $1 million in this property every year. And there's no other property in Texas that's getting near that revenue. So this is not to brag about what I'm doing, it's not to brag about what ELS is doing, but it is to say that ELS cares about what's going on here. And all it takes is the right leadership to make sure you get your fair share, and that's what we're working toward. Okay, I want to do a couple of quick project updates here. So the streets, there's two projects. There's the pothole repairs, you know about that. You know, that's done every year. This year it's being done later because we knew we had the other project coming, the storm grate expansion. And how many understand what we're doing out there, other than just making it difficult for you? Well, so I want to encourage you to use caution while this is on. Please don't, you know, get around the holes. Be cautious when you're driving. But when this is all over, it's going to be incredibly easier for everybody here. So let's take a look at what I'm asking you to do. Right now, for about the next probably 7 days, we have half of the boulevard closed down. And what I'm asking you to do is when you come in, go to that first crossover and go left or right. I know there was some news distribution that we were allowing you to go the wrong way on the boulevard. The truth is that was only for RVs. So there are RVs that we can't get through the back way, so we have to run them. What it was supposed to imply was that we wanted you to be cautious in case you see an RV coming up the wrong way. But as far as general driving, I know that that's what the message said. I'm not blaming you. You did what you were told, and that's really cool. But you have completely freaked out some people. I've had people come into the office shaking, saying, somebody went the wrong way. So I would ask that you go left or right. You can get to every single place in the resort by going those ways. And in about 7 days, after the concrete's poured and the grates are put on it, we'll open that side and then we'll close the other side, and it'll be the exact opposite. So you'll be able to exit or enter through the entrance side, but you're going to have to exit out one of those ways. So this is not a long-term project. If it hadn't been for the rain, we'd have been finishing that first section this week, but the rain kind of backed us up a little bit. Let me show you now what we're actually doing out there. So right now today on the boulevard, we have these three little grates. One of them is right in the middle, well, two of them actually are right in the middle of the street. And so what happens when we have big rains? The trash, the leaves and things like that, because that grate is so small, clogs them up. And then we flood in that intersection. What we have done to address that is we have to take the grate out. And as I'm told, that's been done for years and years and years. And then you have to drive around this railing thing that's stuck in the middle of the road. So what we're doing is we're taking all of those drains up and we're going to put in two that one crosses the entire boulevard and one crosses all the way across Wellington Way. We will never again have to take the grates out. So that will completely go away. We're doing the same thing up at the corner of Kingston. We haven't started that one yet because we didn't want to block that passway, but it'll be the same thing. That grate up by the dog park will go all the way across the street. And there's the one over by going toward the hotel, same thing. It's right in the middle of the road, but they're actually going to be pouring concrete over there, I think, today. So that one's the furthest along. And again, we'll never have to put those grates up. And I've had some questions like, why are you doing it now? Why didn't you get it done during the summer? Well, we had to wait on the contractor's availability to do this. And when we got down to this time in the calendar, I had to make a call. Do it and inconvenience my people, a lot of new residents coming in that are going to see us at our worst, or potentially lose the funding. Because we would have crossed over the end of the year and I would have had to start over completely again to justify that funding. That's the first thing, and the reason that was so controversial is because of a hurricane that went up through Florida and is taking a lot of money out of ELS. And so right now it's very difficult to be able to justify funds over what Florida needs just to get operational. So I had this money approved and I wasn't going to let it go away. So my apologies for making it inconvenient for you, but I would just, beg for your mercy a little bit for the little extra drive around, and it'll be worth it in the long run, okay? Project update on the Wi-Fi. So there was some confusion about this, so let me clarify what's going on with that. The manufactured home section always was cable internet. We've always provided that for you. And it was my goal to try to put Wi-Fi in that as well. So we had money for a project and we put Wi-Fi towers up there. And we monitor them, and of course we record work orders and troubles and things like that. And what we found, we came down to 5 people who consistently used the Wi-Fi up there, and that was it. And we had 50 people who had registered complaints that they couldn't get the Wi-Fi. The bottom line was, up there in the homes are harder to penetrate with the Wi-Fi signal. It just wasn't a workable option. We would have had to put so many towers in there that we would have taken away all your yards. And that just didn't make sense. So you didn't lose anything truthfully because almost nobody was using it. You still have cable internet just like you always did, and it's still free. So we didn't take that away from you, but we did take the towers that we had there and we moved them. And why are we focusing on the RV section of the park? Well, if you stop and think, those of you that are RVers, it's a little more difficult to get cable internet in an RV. And there's multiple things that affect that. One of the things is just about everybody in the place has, if you have an RV, you've got a little switch box with an amplifier in it. And that can shut down the cable internet altogether. And so you're in a situation where if you want to watch TV, you have to turn it on. If you want to do the internet, you have to turn it off. Wiring inside RVs is not the best, depending on how new it is and what you've got going on. Bottom line is we've not had a lot of luck with cable modems in RVs. The real way to satisfy the needs of RVers is with Wi-Fi. So what we did is we moved our service into the RV section, and we added more towers. So we added 14 new towers in the RV section, in the hopes that we're not going to have to do any cable modems in that section at all. We now have pretty good service there. They're in the process right now of finalizing the wiring. So the company came in and did the install, but we have to do the wiring to get them all active. So if you're seeing it go up and down or things like that, that's us. But we will be doing more testing to validate what we've got after it's done. But that's the map of what it looks like right now. The red ones, those red circles, are all brand new towers. The yellow circles are either the old towers or towers that we moved from the manufactured home section. So that's what that picture looks like now. But nobody goes without internet. And by the way, even if you're in the RV section and you can't get Wi-Fi, we'll give you a modem. We want you to have the access that you need. We just can't always guarantee it. There's so many differences in construction and things like that. Even a tree, we have these big palm tree things, and if there's a palm tree in direct line of sight between you and that Wi-Fi, you're probably not going to get it. So there's just so many variables in all of this. Anyway, long story short, another $30,000 went into the expansion to bring these new towers in and get us back to where we have functioning internet in all parts of the park. Now I want to talk about something else that's been a hot topic. ELS, a policy that I don't think was well understood. I tried very hard to bring this out and explain the rationale behind it in one of my summertime meetings when this came down. And what you have to understand is you are not your insurance company. Let me tell you a little story. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law were in a head-on collision. They were driving their motorhome up Highway 59 near Goliad, and they don't know what happened, but a truck coming in the opposite direction, it's just a 2-lane road up there, crossed over and hit them head-on. Both people in the truck were killed. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law had some injuries, but they survived. Their RV, they had a almost brand new 43-foot Winnebago, and it was totaled. You couldn't believe the damage. Even the tow vehicle, they were towing a Tahoe behind them, and it was totaled. So it was a really severe crash, and the entire thing happened on their side of the road. No evidence whatsoever that they did anything wrong. So, they're thinking, wow, this will, at least pay for our coach. That happened almost 3 years ago. They're still in litigation, and people are suing people. The wife of one of the people that was in the car that hit them has filed a lawsuit against the company that the driver worked for because she's saying that he was at fault. The wife of the driver is suing my brother-in-law, saying that he's at least partially at fault. And how many knew that something so black and white could actually have fault with it? They said, he was wide awake, it was daylight, there were no bad road conditions, but maybe if he hadn't glanced in his mirror, he could have alerted or used the horn or something. So, it's at least 10% your fault. I said, what? Seriously? And then they came back and they said, all the skid marks are on your side, but we don't see the anti-lock brakes kicking in. So we think there was a problem with your vehicle. So there's another 10% that's your fault. So in all of this, the point that I'm trying to get to is if I were to come to your house as an employee of ELS and hook up a cable modem in your house, since we just talked about that, and I did something wacko, or I moved your desk out to do it, and when I put the desk back, I pinched a wire on the floor. Overnight, your house burns down. Fortunately, you're alive, and I come over and I'm apologetic, and you say, don't worry, I'm insured, everything's okay. Well, that's fine for you. And when you call your insurance company, what do you think they're going to do? They're not going to come for me. I have no money. They'd be chasing a dead horse with that. But they're going to come after ELS because they go after the deep pockets. They want to get their money back. You wouldn't have any say in that. And that's where the risk comes in for an employee doing work at your house. And there's other reasons too. I can tell you that this came to light and became a enforced policy. It's always been on our books, by the way, but it became an enforced policy because of a lawsuit, just like what I just said. And that's what drives these things. Our company is very protective. They're cautious, they're smart. I think it's one of the best companies I've ever worked for. They're very concerned about their properties and their employees, and they want to make sure that everything is done above board. But this was something that the resident who experienced the issue had no control over. When they called in the insurance company went after us. So that's why this policy was put in place. It's not, I really felt bad that I had to go to my employees who I know don't make a lot of money, and I had to tell them you can't do lawns anymore. It hurt them more than it will ever hurt you. And we have contractors that are licensed and insured and are very, very good. You can get the work done that you need. But what I ask is that you not jeopardize any of my employees by asking them to do something. Now, let me clarify that even a little bit and say that one of my employees can help you as a volunteer. In other words, if you said, I need this box moved, could you help me? They can do that. What they can't do is a job for pay. Okay, and that's where the responsibility kicks in. If they're doing it for pay, it's a whole different picture, and that's where it gets complicated. So, we'll help you find contractors. We have contractors. Every contractor that we bring in here is fully background checked. They get criminal checks, they get credit checks, we have their insurance on file. We do a very thorough vetting of what's going on with these guys, and you can use them. They're probably going to be a little more expensive. You're not obligated to use them. You could get virtually anybody from the outside to come in, but I would caution you, with our employees or with an uninsured person coming in to do work, if that person even falls down on your property, you're liable for that work. I've always told you that you should ask if they have, workman's compensation, because that protects you. We won't allow a contractor on site that's not covered by workman's comp for us to do work for us, because you're then responsible for anything that happens to them, and stuff does happen. We've had people fall off of roofs, we've had people hit with a nail from a nail gun. There's all kinds of things. We have a big stack of reports of things that happen. And fortunately, it's all covered. It's not an issue for us. You need to be careful with that as well. So again, I'll open this up for questions at the end. Think of anything that you've got a question about, and we'll go through those. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Wilma Jacobs.
You gotta go back to the bar. You already went back.
Actually, I've got something like messing up with my thing. I'm sorry. Okay. I didn't even know it did that. Sorry. So, update from the El Centenario Bar. As you know, there's a whole bunch of new people in the Donna Mayor's office and City Council. The city attorney is different. They're still going through transitions. There's going to be continued changes, but I did get a chance finally. I leveraged the fact that the new mayor was looking for votes, and I insisted that somebody talk to me. And so what they told me is that the bar's permit, City of Donna permit, has been pulled. It can't be reinstated, but they can apply for a new permit. And so the key for us is we have to be diligent and try to keep an eye on what's going there and see if they apply for another one. They've obviously done a big investment. They haven't put it up for sale. I think that that's part of their long-term strategy, is to reapply and go for another permit. But we have a new potential defense that that none of us actually thought about last time. And I'm not sure why, but it was actually the mayoral candidate that told me about it, and he said, you know, the simplest thing to do to keep that closed down would be to open up a church next door. Well, guess what we have in the Cactus Club? We have a church, and we never brought that forward to the commission. So you can absolutely bet that if this thing comes back to the commission again, that's going to be on the top of our list of why that should never be open. And in fact, I'm not sure that we can't block that ever being zoned for a liquor license again. So that's what I'm hoping. If it comes up, that's the new weapon that we have. And again, you know, I tried to leverage our candidates while they were out here struggling for votes, and we'll see how that goes longer term. Some of you probably know that the gentleman that won used to be mayor here. I don't know if that's good or bad. I actually had a kind of backhanded relationship with him because I was on the TERS Tax Incentive Reinvestment Board for the Donna Bridge project. Under my previous employment, he actually, the owner of the place that I managed, also owned the bridge project, so he put me on his TERS board. It's just a, you know, a name-only seat. I didn't do anything, but I did get to sit in all these meetings with the mayor, and I don't know if this guy's good or not, but you know, time will tell. Okay, now we'll go to Wilma, and this is really important. We have so many new people here. I know that the people that have been here, or even the people from Canada who really understand recycling, have seen this. They kind of understand it, but we're starting to fight a little bit with how it's being done. And Wilma's going to do kind of a reminder and an update on how successful it's been and make sure that everybody is doing it right. So with that, Wilma?
That's a tall order. I'd first say to Terry, never apologize for new construction, because that's progress, and we like progress here at Victoria Palms. Don't worry about it. Well, I'm Wilma Jacobs, and I'm very proud to be part of this wonderful team called the Green Team. Some of the members are here. Would you stand, please, and be recognized? Thank you very, very much, guys. We're going into our third season. This is a resident-run program. It began when a lady named Betty Nelson, who lives on Abbey, who happens to be from Canada, said, I felt like a criminal because I was throwing everything into the household garbage and it was all going into the landfill. She approached the council and they did a lot of research and they set up the program. But before we begin, I'd like to take you on a little journey to a graveyard somewhere here in the valley. It's called a recycle cemetery, and it has headstones, and the question is, how long does it take to break down in a landfill? So here are the headstones. You can see that banana peels take 1 month to break down. That's pretty good. But what about glass? I mean, I was throwing wine bottles and pickle jars into the household garbage here, which I never did at home. Does anybody know how long it takes when you throw that into the garbage and it goes in the garbage truck to the landfill dump? How long does it take to break down? You're right, you're smart. Never. It never, ever breaks down. So in my lifetime, my children's, my grandchildren's, great-grandchildren's, it's still going to be there forever and ever and ever. How about styrofoam? How long does that take to break down? Anybody know? Virtually never. I don't know how they got this figure, but 1 million years still in the dump. So we started a recycling program, and the red bin that you see on the bottom left, there are 4 of those around the park, as you're probably aware. 1 by the water mill, 1 by the back of the restaurant, and 2 back by the Arts and Crafts Center, or the Cactus Club, as many of us call it. They're emptied twice a week, and we ask that you take your unsorted, you don't have to sort recyclables, such as number 1 and 2 plastics, tin cans and aluminum cans, and newspapers and flattened boxes, and I'll get back to that point in a minute. So no sorting required. So we hope that when you arrive, you got a pamphlet, which will help you to remember, because the way we recycle at home is a little different. So this pamphlet is a simple how-to of what to do and where to take things, and I'll quickly review that. If anybody didn't get a pamphlet, we have lots more. Glad to give you one. And you know, if you go around the park and you look at those red bins, you can meet the nicest people. Here are Dick and Nadine Keatley. They live on Victoria Palms Drive, and they are dumping their box of recyclables back by the Cactus Club area in the parking lot. Now he's not going to throw that box in there. He's just emptied the box out into the bin, and he's going to take the box home to fill it again. Another couple of great people that you'll see around the park. Dick During is on the right. That's Shirley's husband. She's on the committee. And he's on his way to the red bin with all of his recyclables in that big bag. And the day that I met him, I had my cell phone, and Norm Guillemette was walking along with this little bag. And I said, "Oh, Norm, is that your recycling?" And he said, No, that's what's left after all our recycling. And he said, "I don't even bother to have the garbage truck pick it up. I just take it up to the household garbage deposit, which is behind the restaurant. So that little tiny bag is all that he has left after he's recycled everything." We have a bit of a problem though, and we want to ask your help. You may have seen this unsightly mess. When the red bins get too full, people leave things outside the bin, and it's unsightly and it attracts critters. And we thought, what is the problem? And one of the problems may be that people don't realize that there are other red bins to go to. And the other problem is this. If you open up the lid on some of the red bins, guess what we see? Great big boxes that haven't been flattened, and they take up all the volume inside there. So when you want to put your recycling in, where's Kathy? There she is. Kathy, tell me what you think.
No, I'm not on the committee, but as a resident, I live back by the bin, back by the art center, art and craft center. I go and I find boxes that are big enough to bury me in, and they're not broken down. And so I feel I start by breaking down every box I have, Jell-O boxes included.
Thank you.
I break down every box I have, Jell-O boxes, cereal boxes, any box I have. And when I get back there and can't even put my bag of recycling in, I get really upset, because I know they can come right up here and have a nice facility where they have, where they bale the boxes. It's not taking up space. So please do break down all your boxes and bring the bigger ones up here.
There's where the bigger ones go. Right behind the restaurant, we have a box baler, and we accumulate that, and the staff here bales it, and we send it out for recycling. And I think the park makes a little bit of money on that, actually. So all those, your new TV you're going to get for Christmas, or whatever, it comes in a big box. If you would take it to the cardboard box recycling area, or at least flatten it down, We'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Kathy. We also, by the way, recycle batteries, light bulbs, and inkjet cartridges, and you can put all of those in containers in the mailroom, and we will empty them and take them back to be recycled and reused again. And we're very proud of our glass recycling. Last year, two of our committee members, Dean Yoder and his wife Sharon, and Dean's brother, designed this box and built it back in the wood shop. And the park gave us this truck, and with some input design tips from the committee, this has been a very successful project. So all of the wine bottles, pickle bottles, jam jars, etc., but without the lids, can go right into that truck, and once or twice a week, it gets driven over to the Weslaco recycling area, and that glass gets reused over and over and over again, instead of going into the landfill. And one thing we've learned is that we drink a lot of wine here at Victoria. The same thing with white styrofoam. Everything from coffee cups to to-go containers that you get at the restaurant because you can't eat it all. And of course, all the styrofoam around your new TVs and so on. We found a place, it took a while, but we found a place in the valley that melts it all down into styrene bricks and sends those bricks out, and they're made into new styrofoam and new polystyrene products. And you can take this white styrofoam, we bought a bit of an overflow, right by the box baler out behind the restaurant. So how are we doing? Our third season in, started in December 2015, and you can see along the bottom the months. The height of the column is the number of pounds of recycling, and since the beginning, up to last month, we have recycled 81,000 pounds of recycling. So that didn't go into the landfill, and you can see it, there's a seasonality, because of course in the summer there aren't as many people here recycling, but they're still recycling. And because we're recycling, we're saving trees, water, and energy, and cubic yards in the landfill. So this year alone, from January of this year to last month, we saved 215 trees because they didn't have to cut down the trees to make paper. They could use our recycled paper. Everything that's manufactured takes water. So we have saved 71,000 gallons of water. And everything that's not recycled takes energy. So by recycling, we've saved 63,000 kilowatts of energy. Incredible. And 159 cubic yards of waste did not go into the landfill this year because of what we're doing here at Victoria Palms. We've caught the attention of the media because it's unusual. Victoria Palms is, we know it's a special place, but so does the media know that. I only know of one other park, maybe there are more now, but when we started that does any recycling. So we're very proud of what we do. So I'm going to finish now. I want to thank you all for recycling very, very much, because we're doing it for ourselves and for our children. We want you to become a recycling ambassador. All these new people that are coming in, they may not recycle where they are, or they do it a different way. And so as a good neighbor, please help them in a nice way to recycle. And if you know a shut-in that needs help and you want to help, that would be wonderful. And I have here questions, but perhaps Terry would wish that I leave them till later. And if you want pamphlets or anything, Shirley Doring, where are you? She's going to have things at the end of the meeting if you need supplies. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Wilma. You know, there's a little something, believe it or not, that she left out of that. So those numbers that she just gave you are just for the bins. Arguably, the heaviest recycling that we're doing is the glass. And even through the summer, we had to take that truck over and dump it about once a week. There is a lot of glass coming out of here. That's a major, major impact, and probably doubles the weight that we're seeing out of the dumpsters. So it's an incredible thing, and I can absolutely guarantee you there is not another park in the valley that's doing this much recycling. When they expanded into styrofoam and light bulbs and batteries, I mean, my trash is almost non-existent. And let me tell you where we would like to go with this, but we need your help. So what would you think if I could pick up your recycling at curbside? Yeah. Well, the way we need to do that is we need to recycle sufficiently that we can do one trash day per week. And then we'll do one recycling day, and we'll pick it up curbside. You won't even have to take it to the dumpster. And so help us get to that. That's our goal, all right? And thank you, recycling team. Incredible, incredible job. Advisory Council. He does more than just build glass recycling boxes.
Thank you, Terry. I'll have to echo what Kathy said. When I went down to put some trash, some recycling things in the one down by the Creative Center, I found a box in there, I'm not kidding you, was 20 by 24, inches. The thing struck me clear up to here. It was not broken down. And there was some other boxes that was up there. So I pulled them out, flattened them, and brought them up here to the cardboard, because I know Terry gets a little money from that cardboard. So please recycle. I am Dean Yoder with the Advisory Council, and I have the group of people that are on the Advisory Council. We have 10 of us on the council, and I'd just like for them to stand up and see who they are, and you'll know who they really are. How many of you know what the Advisory Council does? Let's see a show of hands. Not too many of them, about half. We are the go-between you, the residents, and Terry. And what we do is we help Terry with some of the suggestions and things like that you folks have. So we are a very integral part of the resort here. So I'd like to have at this time, I'd like to have one of the people that's in charge of the suggestions, Dave Dowdy, come up and talk to you a little bit about the suggestion program that we have here.
Thank you, Dean, and I'm Dave Doty, but that's okay. I'm used to it. I just want to let you know the suggestion program is a very active program. Every suggestion that comes through, Terry as the park manager or Lori as the activity director do see it, and we get a response if it's not anonymous. If you add a name to it, you will get a response back. There's been a lot of positive results from this program. 90% of our suggestions now are coming electronically. If you go to the VPR activities webpage, there's a tab on there for the Advisory Council. If you click on that, there's a place to actually fill out the suggestion. It's all electronic. If you don't wish to do that, in the mail room, there's a box with forms. Please fill them out. Try not to use just scraps of paper. If we're short of forms, let somebody know. We'll get more forms up there. But it's a very good program. I think we've seen a lot of results from the suggestion program, and I'd like to just keep it active and going. So I just want to let you know where the avenues are. You can get the words to us, and Terry is very responsive to all suggestions that come in. So thank you.
Yeah. Also, every year on the Advisory Council, there are 3 people that go off the council. You're on for 3 years. What we're asking for is for volunteers for the Advisory Council. We don't fight, we don't, talk bad about each other, but we do a real good thing of helping Terry out. So what we're looking for the next year are 3 people to come on the Advisory Council. You'll be on for 3 years. So if you're interested, please come over here and talk to us at the table, because we'd sure like to have you. That's all I have, Terry.
Thank you, guys. 2 things that I want to say about it. There's very few parks in the valley that have a group like this whose concern is your needs. These guys actually kind of beat me up about some things. They're out there. They're like your legal team. They're out there fighting for you. And when you submit something that they believe strongly in, they make me do it. You know, I get beaten. You know, I would take my shirt off and show you the whip marks, but, you know, and let me say one other thing. Let me do some clarification around suggestion forms, okay? A suggestion form, if it's a complaint about a neighbor, a complaint about something else, is always anonymous. If you put your name on it, we will come back to you and let you know what we're doing about it. But if you just give me blank, non-signed suggestions, sometimes I don't even know where to go. And I'm not picking on anybody, but this week I got a complaint that was delivered directly to me. And you know, it was well thought out and nicely written. It was a complaint about a dog, but it didn't tell me who it was, so I don't know where the dog lives. It didn't describe the dog. It didn't tell me who to go after. I mean, I have this. Somebody took the time to bring me a concern, and I want to address that, but I have no idea where to go. And at least if you put your name on it, I can call you back and say, tell me some more, you know, what's this dog look like? What's the issue that we're dealing with here? So I know sometimes you hate to be put on the spot or identified, but we never disclose who files a complaint, okay? It doesn't happen. And that's actually in our handbook, that if you complain about a neighbor, we're under no responsibility whatsoever to say who complained, okay? It's up to us to do that enforcement, but you need to help me. So fill those forms out and sign them. Give me a phone number, give me something so I can get enough information to help you out, okay? Thank you. And now, first responders. Oh, this guy again. Wow. I think we missed you on the first part.
Yeah, I think so. If nobody knows who, I'm Dave Doty, and I'm with the first responders. Hey, I just wanted to talk to you for a couple of minutes about the program. We are in need of responders. We've had some people that have served several years and have decided to back away from the program. So we do need responders. A little bit of information. As a responder, you may go 2 years without ever getting a call. Even longer. Some people have been on 2-3 years and never received a call while on. As a responder, 90% of our calls are minor. Some people just need to be advised of maybe what to do or just want some reassurance of what's going on. We do have some emergency calls, but not. The majority of them are just minor issues. But I think it's a very valuable program in the park, and anybody that we've assisted could probably quantify that and tell you that that is true. We're short of helpers, more so than responders themselves. Helpers are just there to call the ambulance if needed, gather information, pamphlets, whatever the individual that's going to hospital will need. But with that, I would like all the responders, if you're a responder now or have ever served as a responder, to please stand up. Don't be so hesitant. And also with this, please talk to them. Anybody that is or has ever been a responder, talk to them if you have questions, because we really do need some volunteers for this program. One other thing, we had a incident last year where the individual had got caught up underneath a golf cart, or underneath a fifth wheel. They were in their golf cart and was injured. There was a lot of rumors going around that the individual had passed away and all of this. Well, much to the surprise of a lot of people, they're back in the park this year. This lady is doing fine. Her name is Mrs. Royson, and when she stopped one of the responders, she said, if the first responders were not here, I don't know if I would have survived. She wants to thank each and every one of the responders that was there. You know, we can't disclose what the injuries were, but they were life-threatening. And she is very happy with the service that we provided during this. And those responders that were there that day is Wendy Bartholomew, myself, and my wife. Angie McGuire and Nancy Wester. Great job to everybody involved, and that's great job to everything that ever happened with the program. One other item, Night of the Races is back by popular demand this year on January 25th. Doors are going to open at 5:30, no, 6 o'clock. Races will start shortly after. We have door prizes. We're going to have 10 races for you to bet on. We do have gift baskets that we're selling raffle tickets for right now. So as you fill out your sheet to be a volunteer as a responder, please buy your raffle tickets for this gift basket. And if you don't choose to, buy 2 books of tickets. But anyway, it's 1 ticket for $1 or 6 for $5. And that's all I got. If you have any questions, please talk to anybody that is or has been a responder. We'd like to have you in the program. And please come to the races. It's always been a great event. One other thing, if I can real quickly, back to the advisory council. We do have a sign-up sheet if you'd like to volunteer. We need help for the open house that's coming up. And I don't recall the date of the open house.
February 20th.
So if anybody wants to help with that, please get with somebody on the council. We need a lot of help for that program, and it was successful last year. So thank you.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. So we're on a roll to make an hour here. I've got a few more to go through. So I want to do, Joyce Ellis started a group called Helping Hands, and its goal was to fill in between what happens with a first responder and what happens when the potentially injured person comes back to the property. So something to help people with transportation, with picking up prescriptions, things like that. So there is this organization, and they're looking for volunteers as well. And it's all resident. In the way they configured this is they set it up so that people are in zones. And they do things like door knocks to make sure that somebody's okay. They, are there to help pick up prescriptions. They've been transporting some people back and forth to the doctor that have to go and can't drive on their own. The interesting thing about all of this is Joyce herself cracked her leg right below her knee, and she was incapacitated. And so talk about feeling the pain of others. She was right on top of it. So they provide all kinds of services that you don't think of. Picking up mail, pet care. What if you go in the hospital and your pup or your cat's at home? Somebody needs to step up and help with that. It's the little things that can be so tedious. They are trying very hard. They've got forms to fill out for medical needs and things like that that really make this program cool. So I encourage you, if you have an interest in something like this, please contact Joyce Ellis. She'd be more than happy to take anybody that she could get. And, you can be as active or as limited as you like, but it's a very, very good cause. Okay, let me jump through some activity updates here. In 2018, we're doing some theme parties. We haven't done too much of that. Cactus Club does at least one every year, and it's incredible. So that's a whole different deal, but we're going to do some this year. So January 30th, we have a Mexican fiesta with the Texas Wheels Band. They're all around music and things like that. You can dress in your Texan and come out and have a good time with that. We're doing a 70s party with Pelican West, and we expect you to come out in your paisley and bell bottoms and polka dots and, do it up. And then a Mardi Gras party with Music Town, and that's when you can get your beads out and your purple and green and whatever else. And that's pretty cool because, we'll be doing cart decorations and parade, and we'll have a king and queen, and every year it gets bigger. Last year was pretty significant. Last year, weren't you the king? Yeah, Bert was the king. Bert and Louise were king and queen last year. So, come on out. Hey, you guys can run for office too, right? And we've got some upcoming events. New Year's Eve is sold out. So, it's full. And interestingly, I have friends that every year I've been bringing to the New Year's Eve party from my old park. We usually buy a table. And in all the craziness of this year, I kind of forgot to check with them. They called me yesterday and said, what are we doing about tickets? And I was like, oh no, we're sold out. So maybe they're not my friends anymore, I don't know. January 2nd, Texas Wheels. January 3rd, we'll be having the Not So Newlywed game. If you've seen that before, it's hilarious. There are still a couple of seats left to be in the show. So, go to activities and sign up. SkyMed is doing an ice cream social on the 4th. Free ice cream, lots of information to help you understand what's going on. January 5th is our first Fabulous Friday, where we're doing our first happy hour, followed by the fish fry, followed by a dance that night. So Smokin' Guns will be here for the happy hour, the fish fry, and it's even improved again this year. They added yet another kind of fish. So it's better than ever. There's nothing that good in the entire valley. And the Jets, a new variety band that we had here for kind of a sample, and people really liked them, so they'll be back for the dance that night. And then January 7th, Swing Street will be here. This year, we're doing concerts on Sundays like we've always done, but Lori has scheduled other events on the Sundays in between. So almost every Sunday, almost except Super Bowl Sunday, there'll be something going on here. You can love it or hate it, but if you like the Swing Street Band, if you remember them, if you've never seen them before, they're so big they don't fit on the stage. We'll be setting them up on the floor over there because it's the only way we can hold them all. It's a really cool show. And she wanted me to mention that in her activity meeting, there was a suggestion about the Craft Center being called the Craft Center. And they said, why don't we call it something better, like the Creative Center, because people there create. So that's open for discussion. And there's been a lot of discussion about the old bingo room being the table tennis room. We took that approach because that's now the main thing that happens down there. That's the biggest event that takes place. Used to be bingo, now it's table tennis. But there's been discussion about that. So we're willing to do whatever you guys really want, but take your suggestions to Lori. And, we'll do whatever the majority wants. We'll call it the square building if you want. I don't care. We just want you to feel good about it. And we want you to be part of that decision, so. And now we've got a special announcement. Lori's gonna come up for just a second. As you know, we were having a Christmas lighting contest, and we're gonna announce the winners and distribute some prizes. It's $1 million this year.
I hope he has it, because I don't. All right, so we have one winner, and there was a few people I had go around and look at all the lights. So I'm going to tell you it was a very close race between two people. The runner-up was the house on Kingston, Louise and Bert's. The first place winner was Linda and Malcolm's house. It's very beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go see it. There were a lot of beautiful houses. Y'all should take tours just driving around. Gorgeous places. So, Linda, you and Malcolm, I have a $50 gift card for you. If you go see Kathy, she'll get your information. You can grab it.
I'm the one. You sit down.
You're getting it. Okay, here you go.
Now you go right back up here. You go right back up here. It takes two.
See?
And lighting does not create the porch
Yes.
and the shed.
It's very beautiful. Now we're going to be doing Yard of the Month for the rest of the season. So we'll be looking for that. We'll put a little sign in your yard and you can win a great prize.
I told her to go away. She's messing up my schedule here. No, oops, I'm kidding. You know, congratulations, and if you haven't had a chance to go around the park and look at the lights, wow, you guys have gone all out this year. It's incredible. And tonight, what time is the golf cart parade? 6 o'clock? If you've not been outside for the golf cart parade, oh my goodness. You know, take a chair, go sit by the road. It is incredible. We have just amazing golf carts this year. Okay, one last thing. Can you believe that? Almost made it in an hour. Yeah, clap for that. I get it. Yeah. Emergency notification. So we've had a plethora of water outages. We've had some power outages. You know, our infrastructure underground is over 30 years old. And anytime we can predict something, we notify in advance. But when we can't predict it, we still notify, so at least you're not wondering if it's only you. But the way we notify is through our emergency notification system. It's absolutely free. We use it for all major issues and outages, and it automatically warns you of severe weather, by the way. It can call you if all you have is a voice phone, you know, you're not smartphone literate, it'll call you and talk to you. You don't have to be able to do computers. It can text or email. There's a toll-free information line. When I send something out, it goes on this toll-free line. So if for some reason you're not, you didn't get it or whatever, you can call that line and find out what the message is. It can travel with you. You know, there are cases like in severe weather, if you're away, maybe you just went home for Christmas and we have a tornado come through, oh, heaven forbid, you would get notification of that. And so those of you that have the service, if you remember when the hurricane was coming up through the Gulf, we were in full preparedness mode. We had everything sandbagged, tied down, locked down, and we were doing updates about every 3 hours as to what the status was. And you can only get that if you're on this service. So I encourage you to subscribe. It's really easy. And if you're not comfortable with this, the computer lab up by the small laundry there, the guys in there have all the instructions. They'll help you get registered, and then it's just trouble-free from there. And if you do get registered and 6 months from now you say, you know, I don't like this, I don't want this, I don't want to know when I'm gone, you can unsubscribe. You know, it's not forced. We're paying for it, so it's an incredible service, and I really encourage you. It would be so much easier if when I send these notifications out, I knew that a majority of our residents got it. That way everybody is aware. So, believe it or not, that's it. So now I will open it up for questions. Got it.
That emergency notification is awesome. Like, we signed up for it when we were in Canada this summer. We heard about the hurricane. The other thing is about recycling. I play cards several days a week in
School. I hope it's okay.
Hey, you can delete the part I did like this.
No, I love that part.